Our story begins in the kingdom of Valiant, where we see a woman tied to a pole and King Fernando in a wheelchair being taken to the palace balcony. There's someone named Mendoza, who says that if it weren't for the witch who is tied up, the king would be well now. We see that the king's son is afraid of the witch, so King Fernando tells Queen Esmeralda to go inside with their son Alfonso. Then they burn the witch, but we learn that she is pregnant, and while she's burning, we see her child is born crying. The scene is strange, and we see a mysterious knight covered in armor who was about to attack King Fernando, but instead jumps from the balcony and saves the child. We see a horse also covered in armor coming to him, so this knight mounts the horse and they leave. We learn that he is the knight of all demons, and the king suspects he was the one they had imprisoned in the dungeon beneath the palace. Later we learn that when they sent knights to search for him, they couldn't find any trace, as if he had disappeared with the child into another world. The demons, and we also learn that when the king listened to Mendoza's advice, he started eliminating all the sorcerers in the country. They began sending their soldiers to neighboring countries to strengthen their influence. We learn that they believe demons devour people and take the form of those they've eaten, living among them normally as if nothing happened. We see soldiers throwing arrows at a house, and we see someone with a woman in the house. We learn she's a demon, and when she transforms, he strikes the demon in the mouth with a dagger and destroys it. The demon claims he's the runaway soldier, but he responds that he's the guardian who saved the child, and his name is Herman Lewis, known as Zorro. We learn the child's name is Leon Lewis, known as Garo, and we see him transform and wear the same armor as the one who saved him. He begins fighting the soldiers and defeats them. Then Leon and Herman head to Vaillant. We find King Fernando celebrating his son Alfonso's upcoming succession to the throne. His mother gives him a strange necklace, and Octavia looks at it as if she recognizes it. We see Herman going to the guard center where there's a woman, and they talk about Mendoza's hatred for them. We move to Mendoza and Octavia, where Mendoza confirms his hatred for the Hell Knights, and is shocked because the queen gave the prince a necklace containing Hell Knight blood. Herman talks to the woman at the guard center, trying to understand why Mendoza hates them so much, but she doesn't tell him anything. We learn that all the records were stolen, so he leaves without learning anything. Herman goes to Leon's place and finds him sleeping with burn marks on his body. He throws him in water to return to normal, and the marks disappear upon touching the water. We see Alfonso training and learn he loves justice, unlike his father, and will be a good king whom everyone loves. The queen sees this and is happy. She goes to the ill king to give him medicine, but Mendoza stops her, accusing her of trying to poison the king and claiming everything she gave the king contained poison. He accuses the queen of treason. We see Leon walking in Valiant Kingdom and finding himself where his mother was burned. Someone tells him this is where they burn witches. In the kingdom, they capture a witch, and Alcis tells her that the punishment for sorcery is death. He gives her time to decide whether to talk or not. If she talks, she'll be burned immediately. If not, she'll be tortured, then burned. We learn that Alcis is actually a demon. At night, Herman and Leon want to know if witches are behind the disappearing girls. Herman discovers that the captured witch is actually a hell priest and one of their own, so they must rescue her. We see Alcis visiting the girl, whom we learn is named Emma. Alcis wants to torture her, but Emma recognizes he's a demon. When he learns she's a hell priest, he wants to enjoy the situation and transforms into a demon. Herman and Leon enter at this moment, and Herman tells Leon to attack the demon. Herman goes to free Emma, but she thanks him for doing something unnecessary and frees herself. She goes to fight the demon, and both Leon and Emma want to finish the demon themselves. Leon is on a bridge when the demon splits it, causing Leon to fall. He jumps and finds himself again at his mother's burning place, seeing a memory of his mother burning. Suddenly, the armor is summoned by itself. Emma is surprised that this boy is the Golden Guardian. We see Leon's armor covered in fire, and he's in pain. Herman enters and summons his armor, going to calm Leon down. The demon tries to escape, but Emma intervenes and finishes him off. We see Alfonso in a cell where someone tells him that his mother has been imprisoned. When he goes on horseback to understand what's happening, she tells him to escape and not return now because Mendoza betrayed them. She tells him to come back later to reclaim the throne. Then Herman and Leon are at a tavern, and Leon has a letter saying Zaruba is about to collapse. Herman tells him it's between Arzal and rocks. Leon can't believe they'll cross the mountain, but Herman mocks him. We learn that hellfire is consuming him, and he can't control his armor. Emma comes to the tavern and sits with them. She annoys Leon a bit but notices the hellfire. Leon gets frustrated and leaves to sleep. Emma apologizes, but Leon continues on his way. The next day, Herman and Leon prepare for their journey. When they arrive, someone named Marcelo attacks them with traps while playing drums. But when Herman calls out to him, he stops. We see Gale scolding Marcelo for not distinguishing between a knight and a demon. Then we see Herman giving Gale a ring to fix, and Gale says this will be the last thing he does before he dies. Marcelo looks at the ring strangely. Later, we find Marcelo talking to himself, saying the ring belongs to him. He seems confused whether to take it or let Gale fix it and give it to him. While Gale fixes the ring, Marcelo hears Greed speaking to him, asking if he'll let them take the ring. He summons his armor, kills Gale, and claims Zaruba belongs to him. He steals it and runs, but encounters Emma. He knows she's a hell priestess. She recognizes him as a horror knight, notices something in his hand, restrains him, and takes the ring. When Herman and Leon arrive, they find Marcelo claiming Emma stole the ring. He points them to her path. Leon finds her, they fight briefly, then she tells him Marcelo turned into a demon and still has the ring. Herman and Marcelo check on Gale. Marcelo claims Emma killed Gale, but Herman notices Gale was stabbed with a sword. He asks Marcelo to show his sword, noting that Emma fights with threads, not swords. He concludes Marcelo killed Gale. Marcelo transforms into a demon. Herman flees and meets Leon. Herman tells Leon about Marcelo being a demon, which Leon already knows. Marcelo puts on the ring wanting to summon Zaruba's power, but nothing happens. Herman tells him only the Golden Knight can summon Zaruba. Marcelo transforms into a demon, rejecting this fact. Leon wants to transform into the Knight, but Herman refuses because he won't be able to control himself. Leon says he'll rely on Herman to bring him back. He fights Marcelo. Emma arrives and throws a thread at Marcelo. The ring becomes visible. Leon strikes him and takes the ring. When he puts on the ring, he is transported to another place where we see a skull shape above that welcomes him. It asks if he's ready to make a contract, and Leon responds that he's ready. Zaruba tells him that he's not his servant but will help him in exchange for the contract, and that Leon will dedicate his life to Zaruba. Then we see Leon with the fire gone, having complete control over Gale. He then kills Marcelo. Emma then hides Gale's cave so no one can enter, and leaves. We learn that she found their location because she had placed a tracking device on Leon. We return to Valiant where the prince is fleeing from guards who want to arrest him, but we discover they're demons. He wants to fight them, but his sword breaks. He grabs a demon by the neck, but we see the demon's hand gets cut off and all the demons are being killed by a Hell Knight. The prince tells him he's the Knight of Light, and when the knight's armor disappears, the prince follows him. Herman and Leon are walking, and we learn from the village they were in that the village they're heading to has problems. When they arrive, the people look strange, and they meet the village chief who tells them to leave, saying nothing's wrong and that villagers fear strangers. Herman and Leon are outside the village preparing to leave when they see kids bullying a child. When they try to stop them, the kids tell them this child's mother is a witch. They decide to take him home to understand what's happening. When they arrive, Herman notices the boy's mother is beautiful. He's quite the ladies' man and his eyes light up. When they enter, the boy leaves them and goes to his room. You have a suspicious future, kid. Herman talks with the boy's mother and learns that since her husband died, she and her son have been acting strangely, and he found that doll there. The boy is watching them. We switch to the boy who has taken his bullies, telling them they're going to a treasure location, but he takes them to the spirit lands. He moves strangely, and we hear the children screaming. Back at the house, they're talking about the village situation and how they're not originally from there, but stayed because they had no other choice. The villagers break down the door because of the missing children. Herman tells them they can't enter without permission, but they won't listen. The village elder accuses them of being summoned by her and working with her. And then the village chief tells the villagers to take the woman and boy, but while they take the woman, the boy runs away. Herman tells Leon to chase the boy while he'll handle saving the woman. Then they learn the chief's house has burned down, so everyone goes there. Herman goes to free the woman, but everyone returns before they can escape. They tell him to take the woman as the charges against her have been dropped, but as they leave, we hear the chief saying they'll perform the ritual today. We go to Leon, who is in a house searching for the child. There are equipment and wood there, and he finds a room full of wooden dolls. Then Leon finds the child and takes him home. Later, Herman talks to Leon and tells him that this child is a demon and that Herman will be the one to kill him because Leon's heart would be too weak. But Leon tells Herman to stop mocking him. When they enter, they discover the child isn't a demon. Then the child disappears, and Leon realizes that the wooden doll he has is the demon. We see the villagers attacking the house. We see Leon standing in front of the child, trying to take the doll from him, but the demon emerges from it and they start fighting. Leon can't finish it off because he sees the demon enter the child's body. Later, we find the child back to normal, talking and saying that he and the demon will take revenge for his father because the villagers killed him. We learn from the woman that her husband was part of of the ritual that started with killing the man who was in the house where Leon was. They wanted to kill him to get rid of his evil, but her husband couldn't bear it and reported them to the church, so they killed him for reporting them. The villagers are about to enter the house, but we find the demon starting to kill them all. The demon is about to kill the village elder, but Leon enters and fights him, killing the demon despite it appearing in the child's form. The child becomes very sad and keeps hitting Leon for killing the demon. Then they leave, and the village leader is put on trial. We return to Prince Alfonso, who is still fighting demons, and the Knight of Light is finishing them off. When Alfonso asks this person what these creatures are, he replies that these creatures are called terror. I've been calling them demons throughout the episode because I couldn't keep saying terror. He also tells him that Mendoza has a demonic tool that makes them obey him, and that he's certain he wants to use it to control the kingdom of Valent. Alfonso asks if he can give him his power or teach him how to eliminate these monsters, because it's his duty to protect the country and its people. We learn that this person's name is Rafael Banderas, and that he was the previous Golden Knight's companion, who was Alfonso's grandfather. We return to Leon and Herman, who are preparing to continue their journey, but when Leon goes outside and sees the sun, he is transported to Zoroba, who tells him that today is the birth of a new moon and that he will take his soul. We find Leon losing consciousness. We return again to Prince Alfonso and Rafael, with Rafael telling him that they are knights who fight demons, but since Mendoza became the controller, they started killing them all as sorcerers, and they couldn't defend themselves because they can't kill or harm humans. Rafael tells him that warrior blood runs in his veins. Rafael tells Alfonso about how his aunt was burned and that her missing son is the one who has the Golden Knight, and that his mother was adopted by one of the nobles. Alfonso asks Rafael if he has enough power to protect himself, so Rafael strikes him with the sword. We see that Alfonso doesn't give up easily and tells him he's not a monster. Alfonso says he wants power like Rafael's so he can defend his country, so Rafael gives him his sword, but we find Alfonso falling with the sword. Rafael responds that having knight lineage blood isn't enough. Alfonso says he's willing to pay any price for this power, meaning training or anything, not money. We go to the castle and find Mendoza asking Octavia about the king, and we learn that he's getting better because of the medicine. They talk about how the princess doesn't know any information about them, and Octavia suggests they finish her off, but he responds, no, not now, because they might need to bargain with her for the prince later. We return to Rafael and Alfonso, finding them entering a guarded place with a document from the Vatican. We learn that Rafael forged it, just as he had forged papers for Alfonso's mother for her adoption. He was surprised when he learned she became a princess. They take 2 horses and go to Valdona, Count Romero's land. Alfonso knows it as the land of vineyards, but Rafael shocks him by taking him there to find barren land with hanged people in the trees. Alfonso approaches some people sitting there, but they run away. They then go to a building and learn they're heading to Count Romero, who is no longer human. When they enter the building, they find a demon there, and Rafael fights it. When Alfonso wants to help, Rafael tells him he'll let him know when needed. During the fight, Rafael throws the demon into Alfonso, sending him into another room where he finds Count Romero looking strange and playing music. Then they encounter a monster heading toward a woman and her child. Alfonso tries to defend them, but when he strikes the monster with his sword, it sticks to his arm. Rafael manages to remove the sword and goes to pull the woman and her child away. The monster then devours the calm count who is playing music. Alfonso tries to attack the monster, but Rafael stands in front of him, summons his armor, and defeats the monster. We find Alfonso asking Rafael again to teach him how to fight these monsters so he can defend his people. Rafael agrees and promises to teach him everything he knows about combat. We return to Leon with his neighbor, who tells him that one day of his life disappeared because of his contract with Zoruba. He tells him that when in doubt, ask yourself who you're supposed to protect, saying all answers are within us, and asks him to follow. Next, we see Leon waking up dizzy, and Herman tells him that respectable people took them by car. We learn they're at the Manda River and close to Santa Bard. When they enter, Leon thinks about how to enter the castle, but Herman tells him to rest first. Leon is surprised, but Herman explains they'll split up to gather information first. Leon has the money and they leave it with him so his father won't interfere. Herman reaches Julio, who tells him they're closed now, but Herman wants to ask about the castle. The demon-possessed man from earlier enters and tells them that the knight's trials ended long ago, wanting to talk to understand what they want. We go to Leon in the market where prostitutes try to make a deal with him, but Emma saves him from them. We return to Hermann and the demon-possessed person in a tavern, talking. The person tells him that recently the army commander died and was replaced by a new commander wearing black armor, known as the Black Knight. He created the Knights class in the castle, with soldiers wearing black armor called the Black Soldiers. They held tests for people to join, giving them real battles as trials. Either you get appointed or die. The possessed person then gets tired and leaves the tavern, finding soldiers outside. He asks them about his son, claiming to be one of them, but they reply no one by that name exists. He calls them liars and transforms into a demon. A child in the market steals fruit and eats it, so the man hits him. Julio tries to stop him, but the man tells him to pay instead. Leon says he'll pay, and then we find him walking with Julio, who thanks him. Leon says it's nothing, and we learn from Julio that he was like that child, and the person he lives with now, who Herman met yesterday, saved him similarly and took him to the workshop, treating him like a son. This coincidence of Leon meeting Julio and Herman meeting this man leads to them all meeting when Leon and Julio arrive at the house to find Herman there. They sit eating and arguing in front of people, but the man looks sick. He yells at them to leave, then apologizes. Leon and Herman decide to leave, and Julio follows to apologize, explaining the man's strange behavior since his son's death. His son went to the trial and died, and the sword was returned to them. The father thinks his son is still alive, looking at the sword daily as we saw. We see the man, in demon form, asking guards about his son. They tell him he's dead, so he kills them. Julio comes and tells him his son Sergei is dead, but he's about to attack him when Leon enters, followed by Herman, who prevents Leon from dealing with it. Herman summons his armor and fights the demon until he defeats it. Julio is very sad about this. We go to Herman and Emma, who are talking about testing the soldiers, and she tells him that whoever wins goes to the room, and we learn that whether he wins or loses, the result is the same. We see in this room soldiers being invaded by demons, and Mendoza sees that the soldiers' test is going well because of the demons. Someone comes to tell him that one of the demons was killed by a Hell Knight, and also mentions that there's a Hell Priestess, and that he will investigate the matter himself. We see Leon running at night, and find this person in front of him. They were originally looking for the prince, but they say capturing a Hell Knight would also be good, so he orders the soldiers to catch him. We see a scene where Leon is sleeping in a hotel room, and the hotel owner thinks he's Prince Alfonso and wants to report him. Then we see him running, which continues the scene we saw earlier. We find all the soldiers have turned into demons, and the person leading the search comes to fight Leon, telling him that if he kills him, Hell Knight laws won't protect him. We learn he's the Black Knight, and Leon summons his armor and starts fighting. The Black Knight almost finishes Leon, but Emma intervenes and saves Leon. However, the Black Knight breaks free from the rope Leon tied him with and strikes at Emma, but she runs away. We see Leon after he wakes up in a doctor's room, tied up, being cut with a scalpel. The doctor says he's removing contaminated blood. We hear sounds from outside of werewolves being killed, and when they enter Leon's room, we discover he's also a werewolf and kills them all. We find Leon waking up in a room where a girl thinks he's Bebby, not the word you'll never hear, you miserable one. Leon is confused and asks himself who he is. The man tells him it must have been a werewolf attack and explains that werewolves live normally but transform during the full moon. Then a jester from the church comes to take them, and Agatha comes out. The man tells Leon to go with Agatha to look after her, thinking he's Bebby. A strange man with big eyes comes out of the church, selects a few people, and the rest leave. A priestess asks Agatha who he is, and she says Bebby. The priestess is shocked, but then acts normally. Something strange seems to have happened here before. The priestess tells Agatha to come help her, as this might help her get chosen next time. But Agatha says she's no longer interested because her brother has returned. She leaves with Leon, and we find the priestess shocked because she thinks Bebby has returned. Leon walks in the city and meets the priestess. He stops her and asks about being called Bebby, telling her he's lost his memory. She smiles wickedly and tells him she saved him, that he later ran away to a shelter, and deflects the conversation to show nothing important happened, then leaves. Leon is in the room of the man who thinks he's Bebby and sees his sword there. When he touches it, he remembers who he is. When the man returns, Leon grabs him and asks why he did this, and the man says he did it for his daughter Agatha. We learn that Bebby is actually the jester, and he takes her to the church. The priestess is shocked, and he leaves her at the church with the priestess while he goes to greet the head priest. We learn that Agatha is late, so Leon goes to check on her. When he goes to the church and talks to the priestess, telling her he knows everything, she tells him they hand over the children to traveling merchants. He learns their location from her and goes there. He meets Bibi there, who has transformed into something like a dog, and tells him that he understands his desire for revenge. We learn that he was treated like garbage on a ship and killed someone who used to beat him, and since then, a demon possessed him. Leon summons his armor and attacks Bibi. After defeating him, he goes to the children and tells them everything is fine. They call him a werewolf. I'm a bad man for saving you. At the same time all this was happening, Herman was walking in the city and meets a girl running away from 3 young men chasing her. They tell Herman to hand over the girl, but he refuses. When they try to kill him, Herman takes out his bells to check if they're demons or humans. They turn out to be human, so he runs away since he can't harm humans. They hide in an abandoned building. Herman asks her who they are, and she explains they had harassed her before at a bar, where she broke a bottle over one of their heads. She saw them again today, and they chased her. Then there's a moment between them that I shouldn't describe. You still think he's a ladies' man, right? Well, exactly. But the opposite happens as she turns out to be working with her pursuers. They take his clothes and money, and since he can't harm her, he runs through the city naked with soldiers chasing him. But Emma saves him. He learns from Emma that he lost to the Black Knight. Later, Herman goes to the girl at the guard center who knows about the Black Knight but hadn't told him before. He's upset about this, especially after learning that Bernard is his friend. He remembers a memory with him before soldiers started chasing them, calling them sorcerers. There was someone named Anna with them, who we learn is Leon's mother. Bernard makes Herman and Anna escape on his horse while he stays behind and gets captured. Back in the present, Herman returns to where his clothes were stolen, but finds the girl again, crying. He thinks it's another trick, but she says one of her accomplices transformed into a demon. She says he might not believe her, but she didn't know who he was. He believes her, and when the possessed person attacks, Herman defeats him. The next day, he finds soldiers still searching for him and chasing him. Raphael goes to the girl at the guard center, saying he wants a demon to train his student. She recommends someone named Orphine. As Gaia leaves, Leon enters, and she finally introduces herself as Garim. He wants an opponent to train with, but the scene ends before we learn who. Gaia returns to where he left the prince and finds that the prince has been training all this time. He tells him he prepared dinner, and while eating, Gaia tells Alfonso he'll have him fight a demon as training. We see Leon easily defeating a demon, but wanting a stronger opponent to improve his skills. He's frustrated. We switch to Gaia telling Alfonso that if he defeats him, he'll be able to wear the armor and become stronger. Later, while heading to the demon, Gaia passes through markets and bumps into a scammer. When the scammer tries to trick him, he meets Leo, who saves him. They part ways, and later we find Leo and Alfonso sitting together in a bar, getting to know each other. That same night, Leon goes out to find the demon, and on his way, he meets Alfonso also heading there. Leon thinks Alfonso is a demon, and both are confused about following the same path. When they arrive and find the demon attacking them, Leon fears for Alfonso's safety, but needs to defeat the demon to become a Dark Knight. They agree that Leon will attack to draw its attention while they counterattack. Leon kills the knights standing on the building. Then Alfonso jumps and strikes the building with his sword. He thinks he's finished it, but a door opens, revealing a mouth-like thing spewing fire. Leon tells Alfonso he can't let him die because he won't be able to, and he must defeat it before it devours a village. He summons his armor to finish it, but gets pinned against the wall. He calls for Alfonso's help, but he can't help. Raphael appears and tells him not to give up. He summons the armor and fights the monster, but when it overpowers him, he throws the sword to Alfonso, telling him he gave him Gaia's armor. Alfonso grabs the sword, transforms into Gaia, and destroys the monster. We find Raphael talking to Alfonso from inside the armor, telling him that he's happy that Alfonso is his heir and asking him to go become a better knight than himself. Alfonso is very moved and swears on the sword that he will protect this land from every demon. We go to the shelter, where Raphael had hidden Alfonso, and we find Alfonso and Leon talking. Alfonso tells Leon that he knows him, and Leon says that his only goal is to eliminate Mendoza and all the demons. Leon and Alfonso agree to fight together. Later, we find Leon hiding in the city, and when he looks at the road, he finds one of the dark soldiers. Just as the soldier is about to attack Leon, Emma jumps in and saves him. Then, Leon goes to Alfonso Alfonso, bringing some food with him, and we find Emma arriving and introducing herself to Alfonso, who she already knows. We find Herman running through the city without clothes, and Leon is very upset with him and wants to hit him. While they're talking, Herman learns that Alfonso has werewolf blood and is surprised because he doesn't know that Alfonso is Leon's cousin. He thought Alfonso was Anna's son and Leon's brother, thinking she had given birth without telling him. Then we learn that Santa Barbara Castle was built on top of a temple, and the temple's gate still exists with a path to the castle. We learn this is a secret path that not many people know about, including Mendoza, and they don't know the number of demons with Mendoza. We see a flashback of Mendoza during the time he invented his device. A woman appears before him and punishes him for what he did, especially since he wasn't convinced it was wrong. She punishes him with a seal, marking him for life, and his descendants too. He's shown near a river with his body full of fire. We learn he became like a traveling priest and invented a medicine that cured citizens. The king summons him to live in the palace for a while, but we find him helping them with many things, like war tactics because he uses demons. The king gives him a wife as a gift, who is the daughter of his friend. When she gives birth, we find that the child is also full of fire like him. He kills his son and throws him in the river, and he's upset with the knights and priests of hell. We learn this is why he created the burnings for them, and we see the servant Octavia pledging her loyalty to Mendoza. Mendoza tells Bernard that next time he sees Leon with Alfonso, he should kill them and finish them off. We return to Leon and Alfonso as they politely call for Herman to go to the castle. Then Herman learns that he's Leon's cousin, and they go to a hill where Emma helps them climb up using her threads before leaving them. They enter the area with the temple and use it to access the castle. We learn why Mendoza took over this temple, and as they walk, they find demon eggs hatching in the ceiling. Mendoza knows they're there and tries to close the door, but they manage to escape just in time. After escaping, they find Bernard there who wants to fight Herman. Herman tells Leon and Alfonso to continue their path, assuring them Bernard won't approach them. They leave, and Bernard indeed doesn't go after them. Herman refuses to fight until Bernard explains why he joined Mendoza. We learn that when they abandoned him, he was attacked and nearly killed, so he gave up being a Dark Knight because he saw humans weren't worth protecting. Mendoza appears and tells him humans are self-interested, and that he wanted Bernard on his side for his strength to fight both Dark Knights and priests. Bernard agreed because he believed humans weren't worthy. This greatly upsets Herman, who summons his armor to fight Bernard. We return to Leon and Alfonso, who see and kill a demon. The demon was heading toward a wall, leading Leon to deduce there's a secret hideout, which they indeed find. Back to Herman and Bernard's fight, Bernard wounds Herman, but Herman manages to defeat Bernard. Bernard speaks normally, asks about Anna, and requests Herman to look at his sword's hilt before dying. We go to Leon and Alfonso, who reach Mendoza. We learn he has created a barrier between them and summons a demon from his device, which has existed since Alfonso was young. Leon and Alfonso summon their armors. Leon attacks Mendoza, while Alfonso fights the demon. Mendoza freezes Leon and shows him his mother burning, greatly disturbing Leon. Alfonso tries to snap Leon out of it, but fire starts emerging from Leon, destroying the castle and spreading everywhere. Leon's body suddenly grows larger and becomes uncontrollable. He runs to the city with Alfonso pursuing him, trying to stop him. Leon strikes Alfonso, shocked because he's supposed to protect the city, not destroy it. He says even if his uncle tells him to stop, he won't. But Herman, Alfonso's uncle, tells Alfonso to hit the emblem on Leon's hip to separate the armor and control him. Alfonso tries this while fighting Leon but can't overcome him. Emma arrives and freezes Leon, but he breaks free due to the heat. Alfonso manages to hit Leon's thigh mark and flies up with him. Leon falls and Emma tries to save him by cutting down a building for him to land on, but he falls off. Emma calls Herman to save Leon, which he does. The demon fully breaks free from the gate and takes Leon's sword. Alfonso transforms into the Golden Knight to face the demon. When he approaches, the demon takes Alfonso through a hell portal, but he manages to escape. He stands before Mendoza to fight him, but finds the demon coming from behind Mendoza and eating him. Alfonso strikes them with his sword, splitting the monster in half. Leon wants his sword back, but Alfonso refuses to give it to him because of the destruction he caused. For the first time, his father hits him. Alfonso tells Leon if he wants the sword, he'll have to fight him first, but Leon leaves. His father lets him go, knowing he can't stand by him anymore and wanting him to stand on his own feet again. Then he returns to the village and asks about his father and mother. His father is fine, but we learn that his mother was burned because Mendoza wanted to blackmail him with her, and he is very sad about losing her. We see Leon jumping from a hill, and we go to Alfonso's mother's funeral, where he promises to protect the people as the Knight of Light, and also promises to defend them. We go to the people who are talking about how Mendoza made a deal with the devil, blaming him for what happened to the country. They are rebuilding the country and are happy with Prince Alfonso. We see Leon and learn that a girl saved him. 10 days have passed, and the next day, he walks with the girl who saved him. She shows him around the place, and we learn she's a farmer. On their way home, she tells him that her father died because of wolves, and Leon says it must have been the demons who did this. We return to the city where Alfonso is fighting demons, and Herman is happy with him for fulfilling his promise. Alfonso asks about Leon, but Herman tells him that no one can save him from his current situation. We find that Leon is now helping them work in their fields and shows signs of fatigue because he's not used to village work. He works until sunset, then goes home and falls asleep immediately from exhaustion. Days pass, and Leon works on operating the canal for water flow. When it's finished, they are happy with him for helping them. We go to Alfonso, who has a schedule full of meetings with important people, having his portrait painted and other trivial things. He's very annoyed by all this and wants to go take care of his people instead of this nonsense. He actually escapes to see his people and falls asleep in the carriage. On the way, bandits stop the carriage, make the driver leave, and take the carriage, not knowing Alfonso is inside. We learn that the bandits' leader is named Jasper, and Alfonso had heard this name from one of his people who had complained about him. We go to Leon, and we find that Emma came to the village to say goodbye before her journey. She reassures Leon about the city's condition, telling him it's better because of Alfonso and that the role of the Golden Knight suits him. Then she leaves him and goes. We go to Alfonso, and they arrive at the castle where these thieves hide. When they look in the carriage, they find Alfonso, and he starts attacking them. Then we see Jasper's daughter in the window, and Herman is coming after her. She tells him to help her father, and when he looks, he finds Alfonso below. Then they go to eat and all get to know each other. We learn that the boy they kidnapped, whom I hadn't mentioned before, is actually her lover, and her father is upset about this. We later learn that Herman and Jasper became friends after getting into a fight with each other, and we learn he's in the castle because he wants some of the love magic roses there. The half-kidnapped boy says this is a lie and that these roses are cursed. He explains that when the king who lived in this castle returned and discovered his wife was a witch, they stabbed each other and both died in the palace. Then Fauna goes to rescue Mauro from the cell. While escaping, something strange happens. The prison guard was dead, so some people noticed and heard their voices. They ran to the other side to avoid getting caught, but the path was blocked. When Fauna put her hand on the wall by chance, she touched a spot that opened a secret door for them to escape through. We find Jasper sitting arrogantly, saying he wanted to live in a different time period. He hears a voice speaking to him, promising to grant his wish. Jasper is surprised and asks where the voice is coming from, then breaks through the wall. We see a strange body with a demonic form that possesses Jasper. Fauna and Mauro go down to the place they found and discover the corpses of the king and queen. We also learn from the diaries found by Alfonso and Herman that the queen was a hell priestess and the king was possessed by a demon in his final days. Mauro gets scared and accidentally drops something on the ground. We find the king has awakened again, now as a demon in human form. He becomes the enemy of the other demon possessing Jasper's body. The two meet and fight over who will take Fauna, Jasper's daughter, and drink her blood. Alfonso and Herman intervene to stop them and manage to destroy the demons. Fauna falls, but Mauro catches her. We see Julio gathering many blacksmiths to make a statue for Garo, who saved the city. When they test it, one of them can't move it because it's too heavy. One of them suggests making it move automatically, which impresses Julio, who decides to implement the idea. They begin planning and execution. When they finish, Bruno tries it again but still can't move it. The device malfunctions and smokes. Pancho comes in with a bag of blood and suggests using pig intestines instead of tubes. Then the body works and Bruno can move it, making them very happy. Alfonso learns about these people and is worried they might do something, but Herman tells him they might be used for advertising something. Later, a woman comes to where the armor was made and asks to speak with them. She says she sees a demon every day destroying their livestock, and that it killed her husband yesterday. They decide to help her with the armor they made. Then, we see the demon in bear form. They confront it with their armor and initially overcome the bear, but it gets up again and defeats them, setting their armor on fire. They tell Bruno to increase pressure in the armor, approach the bear, and exit through the back door. When he tries to get out, His shirt sleeve gets caught and the armor explodes, but Herman manages to save Bruno. Then they see Prince Alfonso and wonder why he's there. When they learn he came to check on the village after what he heard, they're happy to have a prince trying to protect them. He thanks them for their efforts, and then they put out the fire. We go to Leon, walking with Lara, the girl who saved him. She tells him about an old legend they have about a place where fairies used to gather, and if someone was in love, they should run to this shelter, and the fairies would save them. But Leon thinks this might be a guard station. When they return home, they learn Prince Alfonso is in the village. Alfonso rides through the village on horseback and finds Leon. Alfonso sits with Leon and tells him his father Herman misses him very much. Leon apologizes to Alfonso and says he no longer deserves to be a Dark Knight, showing he hasn't forgiven himself. He tells him that since birth, he's known nothing but moving from place to place and seeking revenge for his burned mother. Prince Alfonso empathizes with him, and then Leon leaves and goes home with Lara. Leon is walking at night in the village and senses a demon. The next day, he finds Alfonso in the same place and learns about the demon situation. That same night, they find the demon appearing where Leon is. Leon attacks it with an axe and manages to fend off the monster's attack, but then the monster enters the house. Leon tells them to leave so the monster won't harm them, but the old man refuses because of the grain he's hiding that's supposed to pay off debts. Leon convinces them to leave, then runs, because he can't kill the demon. He falls while running and meets Alfonso, telling him about the monster. Alfonso goes to handle it while Leon heads back to check on the people he was with, but finds the dog dead on the ground. When he looks back at the house, he finds it burned down. We return to Alfonso, who has reached the demon's location. He summons his armor and begins to finish it off. When Leon returns, we learn that all the monsters killed everyone when they came back. He's very upset and sad, but hears Laura's voice and discovers she's still alive, though buried under the house ruins. She dies in his arms. We learn that Alfonso left him and left him a sword. Alfonso is afraid Leon will seek revenge again and repeat what happened before, losing control. We go to Leon, who is going to bury Laura, when he sees a fiery shadow that looks like him. It tries to tell him negative things to make anger control him, and we see at the end that it's nearly succeeding. We move to Alfonso, who is going to Leon, realizing he was wrong to leave Leon alone at a time like this. When he arrives, he finds Leon confronting him, saying he wants the golden armor and they need to duel for the armor to transfer to Leon. Alfonso asks, what if he repeats the same situation? And Leon responds, kill me. They begin fighting and we see Leon making amateur moves against Alfonso. Then we return to when he was talking to the shadow and see him defeating it. Later we see two children running in the forest from a demon. Suddenly they find the demon in front of them, so they run the other way and the boy falls. Suddenly we find the demon attacking the children, but Leon and Alfonso arrive and save them, telling them to hide while they fight and manage to defeat the demon. On their way back, Herman is hiding and comes down to hit Leon to test if he's back to normal. Then he tells them he can now focus on his work, and we learn he was asked by the guard headquarters to help Mendoza, who is still alive, and then he leaves. Leon and Alfonso go to headquarters to find out why they requested this, but she only responds about the golden armor returning to Leon. We learn she only talks about topics she likes. Then she tells them, by the way, Emma is going to die. What a Then Leon and Alfonso talk about how Alfonso must stay at the castle and can't leave it, while Leon will go to save Emma. We see Emma in the city preventing a vampire from killing a night girl, and they start fighting. Emma creates a net in the sky, and Luciano the vampire flies up. Then she flies to strike him, but he stabs her with his wing. Leon enters and cuts off Luciano's wing, but Luciano lifts Leon to the net where he gets electrocuted. Then Luciano flies away. Emma is upset with Leon for interfering, and has been looking for him for a very long time. We learn from Zaruba that he put a tracking device on him, and they'll know his location. We later learn from Emma's conversation with Leon that Luciano was her husband and also a hell priest. He had killed someone who turned into a demon, and that person's wife was upset. Emma intervenes and tells her that once someone turns into a demon, they can never return to normal. We learn that Luciano was looking for a way to prevent humans from turning into demons, and was upset about killing humans, constantly blaming himself. A demon tries to possess him, and we learn that one day he turned into a vampire and flew away, leaving Emma. When she goes to the guard headquarters, she asks to eliminate Luciano, but they imprison her so she doesn't turn into a demon too. When she's released, she wants to finish off Luciano and doesn't want anyone to interfere. During the battle with Luciano, Emma has prepared many planes to fight him. She strikes Luciano and falls, but he catches her before she falls and tells her he doesn't want to lose her. We find him turning into a demon wanting to eat her, so she kills him and falls onto a spike on top of the buildings. Then we find her with Leon in a room, with bandages on her body to heal and recover. Then we return to the castle where Alfonso wants them for a matter concerning Octavia. We learn she goes out every night and they want to get rid of the temple under the castle. They enter to see the king and use bells to verify if the girl is a demon or not. Then Octavia goes to Mendoza and brings him food and updates him on the news, then leaves. Alfonso is waiting for her to return, and when he finds her leaving, he confronts her. We learn it's not Octavia but another servant girl with water, saying she was getting clean water that Octavia discovered for the king to drink. He goes down and drinks it, finding it indeed clean and sweet tasting. Then Emma hides the temple door so no one can enter or exit, and they walk around Mendoza's place, looking at the water before leaving. Then the servant who left earlier returns to Octavia, while Octavia is talking to Mendoza. We move to Leon's room where Alfonso and Emma are there, and they are suspicious of her. There's a thread near Emma, and we learn they've set a trap. Octavia walks in the basement and opens a magic door. When she tries to enter, she falls into the trap. They go to capture her, but she escapes. When they go down, she comes up and locks them below. She runs to the king's room and summons a monster, ordering it to finish off the servants. Then she tells it to eat the legs that have the thread. When they arrive, they find the monster has the thread. They summon the armors and defeat it. They suspect there's another exit and want to search again. Herman enters and tells them to clear his path. He's ready to fight Leon. Leon refuses to let his father help Mendoza, but Herman refuses to back down. A serious fight begins between them. We learn that the warrior's center's plan is that today a demon will awaken from its slumber, and they're supposed to be able to eliminate as many demons as possible today. Emma, Alfonso, and Leon are surprised they would put Valiant in danger to eliminate monsters, but these are the orders. We learn this is the only way to save humanity, especially after the knights have become so few. Leon refuses this agreement and summons his armor. Alfonso also refuses, and Herman summons his armor and fights Leon. We see memories between them as they fight. Herman manages to knock Leon down. We see Herman and Mendoza opening a portal and going underground. He tells him no one can stop the monster and it will emerge. We see Leon holding his father's chain. We learn Herman's plan is to attack Anima, which was a message he left with the chain. We return to Mendoza and Herman as he continues his plan to summon Anima. Herman reveals the mission to Mendoza. Mendoza summons demons and Herman defeats them. When he attacks Mendoza, Octavia comes to protect him. Mendoza's arm is cut off. Octavia grabs Herman's weapon and gets electrocuted, so he removes his armor to avoid hurting her. We find Mendoza attacking Herman, and before Mendoza can finish Herman off, he summons a horse and escapes. Emma, Alfonso, and Leon arrive at the location and find a seal preventing entry. Emma removes it. When they enter, they find a trap that transports them to the future. Herman goes to the portal they came through and opens it. Demons come, and Herman summons his armor to prevent them from closing it and defeats them. We find that Emma has spread her threads throughout the city and tells Leon and Alfonso to go to the threads and break the things there. We return to Herman, who is fighting many demons. He can no longer fight and loses his armor. The demons attack and overpower him. We return to Leon, Emma, and Alfonso as they destroy the things they found. They return to their world, and Leon and Alfonso summon their armor and attack the gate in front of them, managing to break through. Medusa realizes they are getting closer, and Octavia begs him to give her power so she can fight. He gives her his staff to fight with, and she summons armor with it. We return to Herman, who is bleeding, but continues fighting demons. Herman sees Leon, so he runs to the elevator and goes down, where he sees Octavia, but is unable to fight. Octavia goes up where Leon is, and a group of demons approaches Herman. We find Octavia revealed wearing the armor, and Alfonso's suspicions are confirmed, leaving him shocked. Leon transforms and summons his armor, and they all attack her, including Emma, but her structure is strong and rare, so she manages to overcome them. Alfonso attacks her, and Emma tells Leon to try not to lose himself. She runs to the gate before it closes, and he ends up being the only one outside. We find many demons coming to where Leon is. We return to Alfonso and Emma as they transport Octavia to the future so they can fight her before she goes to Mendoza. Leon summons his armor and goes down to where Mendoza was, but he's not there. The sword is complete, and Leon finds Medusa, learning that he finished off Herman. He tells him that's all that's left of him, and after provoking him a bit, he summons demons next to Leon. We find Leon very calm. Then he tells Medusa, "Is that all you've got?" and starts eliminating the demons. We return to Alfonso and Emma as they fight Octavia, destroying the city. We see residents evacuating the area to avoid getting hurt. Octavia is very powerful, but they manage to defeat her. We return to Leon, who faces many demons and starts killing them all. We go to Garm and learn she's very upset about what Herman did, thinking he would have handled things better and that she will intervene. We return again to Leon, and after finishing off the demons, he goes and stabs Medusa with the sword, but it's too late. We learn he has already freed Anima. We find a hell portal has opened with many demons coming out, and we see Anima devouring them. Alfonso asks Emma to take him to Garm's location to stop her. She takes him there and he tries to prevent what's happening with his sword, but the armor starts to break along with the sword, and he falls from the hill. We find Emma fighting Octavia and binding her with thread, about to kill her, but we see Octavia shooting fire from her legs at Emma. Garm is upset and hides the light that was above the city. We find Anima has been freed, and Mendoza thanks Leon because they helped him without realizing. We find the monster breaking the building and emerging from it, with Leon on top of the monster's body. Then Leon falls, but finds himself holding his father's sword. The monster grabs him with his father's sword and throws him away. Now all three are on the ground. Leon gets up and hears from Zoroba that the damage caused by his father's sword can be used to their advantage. We find Mendoza talking about how even Anima can die normally, troubled by the idea of death even though everyone's destiny is to die. Leon responds telling him his time has come. Mendoza replies saying no, he's different and escapes death. Then the madman puts his hand in his stomach and pulls out his entrails. And not just that, he pulls out something like a net in the air and merges with Anima, combining a demon's body with a demon's brain. After they merge, his appearance becomes strange and glows blue, easily overwhelming Leon. Leon cuts off Mendoza's head, but he can reattach it. We learn he can't die this way, and he strikes Leon, making him fall to the ground. We find Alfonso on the ground, and when he grabs the sword, he sees Raphael telling him to get up and try until his last breath, since he decided to take the sword, and then he gets up to help Leon. We return to Leon, and whenever he tries to transform, Mendoza strikes him and prevents his transformation. We find Emma seeing Herman's weapon and bringing it. She throws it towards Alfonso, and when Alfonso catches it, he learns that his uncle has died and becomes upset. He throws it towards Leon, who falls and grabs both weapons. He summons the armor all at once in an incredible scene, and his power becomes immense. Alfonso calls out to Leon, telling him that the gates of hell are about to close. So Leon grabs Mendoza and takes him there himself. When he goes down with him, he manages to restrain Mendoza against a rock and stabs him, ready to sacrifice his life to prevent Mendoza from returning to the human world again. Suddenly, we find that the fire couldn't harm Leon and burns Mendoza instead. We learn that this flame is his mother, and she will hold on to Mendoza so Leon can return to the human world. He wants to reach his mother, but his father's horse appears, and he rides it to escape through the gates of hell. After some time, Alfonso thanks the townspeople for their efforts in rebuilding the city. We learn that the woman Herman was living with is pregnant, and her child will inherit his armor.